So today we're going to demonstrate how to fabricate a temporary crown. The key to making a great temporary crown is starting out with a really good matrix. The material we use is a PVS impression material. Some people may use alginate and some people may do a vacuum coping, but we find that this particular PVS material will give you really good detail. So the better the matrix, the easier and better the temp. So the material we use to make our PVS impression matrix is a material called template. This is a nice material, takes very good detail, but is very inexpensive compared to some of the other materials out there. So we do like to use it for that. It's just a paste mix that is extruded with a gun, and we use these triple trays. So basically you would load it in there and you would have the patient bite on that, and just basic triple trays is what we use. And we start out with the polisher. This is a white polisher. I like using those. Some people may use the acrylic burr, but I personally like using this. It gives you a nice smooth polish. Sometimes the acrylic burr can chip a margin if you're not careful, but this kind of will reduce and polish at the same time, giving you a smoother result. After we use the reduction, then we smooth it out with this Scotch-Brite brush. I like the medium grit because it doesn't leave any residue behind. Sometimes the fine grit can leave a residue, but I like the medium one. And then we finish polishing with a muslin wheel, and you know, these are just your basic wheels you get, and this is what we like to use when we make a fabricated temporary. What I'm going to use is this model as an example. Instead of taking it on the actual patient, we're going to use this model as an example for fabricating a temp. As you see, we're going to be doing tooth number 30. That's like the natural tooth that's there, so that's what we're going to use. And in some cases the tooth may have a chip in it or might be broken, but if that's the case, sometimes the doctor can just fill that little part right there, and that way you'll have a whole tooth to use in case there is any breakage. Then you'll have a complete temp after the fact. So what I'm going to do is just extrude some of this in the material. Like I said, we use a triple tray, and you just load the top and the bottom. And then you would place that in the patient's mouth, and the patient basically would bite down into that. And this material does set pretty fast. It usually sets in about 30 seconds or so. Now we're getting ready to, let's say the doctor has prepped the tooth. You have the prep tooth in place. In the real world, this would be the patient's mouth with the prep already completed. And the material that we like to use is the Luxatemp. This is like one of my favorite temporary materials to use. I really like the aesthetics of it. It cleans up easy, it's not too sticky, and it gives you very nice results. So whenever you do start making a temporary, you always want to, if you load your gun, you always want to extrude out a little bit first, because you don't, sometimes the tips are clogged, and sometimes if it's a brand new unit, it has oil in the beginning, so you want to make sure you extrude all that oil that is packaged with first. And so this is the mixing tip it comes with. They're very precise, so you need to use the tips that come with it. So you just push that down and turn it, and that locks it in place. So you have your impression ready. So you always want to extrude a little bit out the tip first, because you want to make sure it's mixed properly, and then you're going to actually load the tray in that area. And it's always a good idea to keep the tip into the tray, so you don't want to pick up any air bubbles, so you just always keep it immersed in the material. And I always like to do just a little bit extra over, just to make sure we get those margins very well. And so now you would put this back in the patient's mouth, and you would have them bite down, and that takes about a minute or so to set. It's like I said, it's always sets faster within the patient's mouth because of a warmer environment. Okay, so once the material is set, you can remove the matrix, and you want to double check and make sure that it is set.